The Honorable Supreme Court has delivered a landmark judgment just now, February 15th at 11:30 am, about the Electoral Bond Scheme. Before we understand what this judgment is all about, let us take a peek into the history. Companies Act 1956 allowed companies to donate to political parties at the rate of 5% of their average net profit of the past 3 years. This was increased in the year 2013 to 7.5%. Let's say I'm a conglomerate of companies having a average net profit of 1 lakh crore. So I can donate to any political party to the extent of 7,500 crores. After demonetization in 2016, Shri Arun Jaitley in the 2017 Finance Act made landmark changes. The first change was the restriction of 7.5% was removed. The second most important, a new electoral bond scheme was introduced whereby corporates could go to a bank, purchase electoral bonds of whatever denomination they want, whatever amount they want, and then distribute it to political parties surreptitiously, that is secretively, no questions asked. No disclosure required by the corporates and no disclosure required by the political parties. So picture this, let's take for example Mukesh Ambani or Gautam can go to a bank, purchase bonds worth 1,000 crores, 5,000 crores, 10,000 crores, 40,000 crores and distribute to whichever political party they want, and no disclosure by Mr. Gautam or Mr. Mukesh and no disclosures by the political party recipients as well. Section 29C requires every political party to disclose any type of donation received by it. Anonymous donations are restricted there only to the extent of 20,000 rupees. Section 29C of the Representation of People's Act also was amended to tell that any money received through electoral bond scheme need not be disclosed. Section 13 A of Income Tax Act also says that a political party has to note down the name and address of the contributor of any amount more than 20,000 rupees. But even to this, an amendment was made whereby any recipient through an electoral bond scheme need not mention anything about the donor. Arun Jaitley had justified the scheme by saying that no amount can be contributed in cash and everything should happen through banking channels, thereby reducing black money circulation in the economy. Petition was filed with the Honorable Supreme Court by the Association for Democratic Reforms, then the Communist Party, arguing that this anonymity would undermine the very fabric of electoral financing. Second, it would also encroach upon the public's right to information under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution, sort of legalize kickbacks by facilitating contribution through shell companies. Rules of law before the Honorable Supreme Court were two. One, whether non-disclosure of information would be violative of Article 19 of the Constitution, right to information, and two, whether this unlimited corporate funding, whether it would violate the principle of free and fair elections. The judgment delivered today, the Honorable Supreme Court has mentioned that the government has failed to find a balance between right to information and informational privacy, and they have told that this is definitely unconstitutional and it violates Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. Also said there are better ways to curb black money and this is definitely not one of the ways. Supreme Court has struck down the amendments to the Representation of People's Act, Income Tax Act and Companies Act as unconstitutional. Supreme Court has said that it will not turn a blind eye to any sort of misuse and has rightfully struck down the electoral bond scheme.